Jesus didn't have a problem with people that's in the streets. He had a problem with religious people.
How can I help anybody when I was not even able to help my own son?
I would never do that. I would never do that. And I became that in a matter of minutes when they took my pain pills away.
And I said, I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not what I used to be.
This is Faith in Your Recovery. I am Randy Davis. Welcome to the battle. Hey, we want to thank you for joining us on this episode of Faith in Your Recovery. We look forward to the story we've got to share with you today and hope you'll be able to find a nugget or more in this that's going to make a difference in your journey toward recovery, in your understanding of addiction and recovery. We appreciate each of our guests and their willingness to be raw and real, and it gets a little sloppy at times, but we don't worry about that. We want to be transparent. We want to touch, change, and save lives. We've been blessed to be able to do that. We're looking forward to today's story. Welcome, Harley. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, looking forward to it. Harley, introduce yourself to the folks. Tell them a little something about you now, to where they can feel like, you're in their living room talking with them.
Well, my name is Harley Golder. I'm actually, today's my 4 months clean. I'm just excited to be here and be recovered from, or still in my recovery, heading towards the, right path. And just
4 months clean, you say?
Yep, today's my 4 months date.
That's fresh, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was your main drug of choice? What was it that took you down the hardest?
Heroin,
Harley?
definitely heroin. Yeah, fentanyl, whichever one. I mean, you don't know what you're getting nowadays, so really.
So how long have you battled with addiction?
Well, let's see. I didn't get introduced to heroin until I was like 17, but I started using real heavy drugs when I was about 14. My mom got sent to prison, so. And my dad was an alcoholic, and he didn't want nothing to do with me, so I just kind of, I had an older friend taught me how to cook methamphetamines, and it just kind of went from there. I was all by myself, didn't have nobody look out for me, so I had to make my own way, and that was the easiest way I knew how to do it.
Yeah, such is the case for many. We've heard that story a lot. Very interchangeable, very tough to get out of when that's what you grow up with, that's your experience, that's your culture, your home life. So how many years total would you say you've battled addiction?
I see, I'm 29 now, and my first time picking up drugs, I was 10, so.
19 years thereabouts, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And you say you've been 4 months clean. Is this the longest clean time for you?
No, my longest clean time was 8 months, and that's back before I had kids or I met my girlfriend. That was back in 2016. I had 8 months clean then, and then I was working in Wisconsin, actually probably one of the best times of my life before I had kids and a girlfriend. And I was working on the road, so I was just working all the time, and it felt great. But then once the job, I was doing hotel remodeling, so once the job ended, I came back to Indiana and couldn't get a job, so I just went right back at it.
Was it kind of the same people, places, and things?
Yeah, absolutely. Same people, places, and things. That's I've learned, I finally changed that, and that's what's kind of helping me stay where I'm at now. So.
Hooray for you. What is it right now, today, that you celebrate the most with your recovery where it is? I know the journey continues, you're not there, but at this moment, what's your chief celebration?
My kids. My kids are my biggest, they're who I know really, they look up to me, but if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be here today, honestly, because I'd probably be either still in jail or dead at the worst. So. Definitely my kids and my girlfriend too, because if it wasn't for them, I just.
How many kids do you have, Harley?
I got 4 kids.
How old are they?
My son's 1, and then my youngest daughter is 4, and then I got a middle daughter, she's 6, and my oldest daughter's 8.
Do you have custody or get to see them quite often?
Yeah, I get to see them 3 days a week. Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays when we're real close to getting them back. So that's my main focus right now is to get my kids back. So
Compared to that time when you were so involved with that addiction, 3 days a week of you being present.
yeah, I wasn't getting to see him when I was strung out. I wasn't getting to see him at all. So I missed my son's first birthday. I missed Christmas. I missed Thanksgiving. I missed a lot, and that's time I won't get back. So it's like, you know.
You can't get it back, but you can start it anew and be a father who is present,
Absolutely.
a father who supports. Well, hooray for you. Those are big steps. What do you attribute that to? How is it that now you've been able to hold on for 4 months to stay away from that meth and fentanyl, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, it's all about them. I mean, and my girlfriend, because I owe to them. You know, I've been with my girlfriend for 8 years now, and a lot of my relationship, I've been either locked up, strung out, just selling drugs. I mean, I just wasn't real. I was there, but I wasn't there. You know, so I just, if it was, that's who I give my biggest shout out to is my girlfriend and my kids. So.
What was it during those 19 years? Give us a couple of your low points where you felt there was no going up.
Well, see, my first time going to jail, I was 18. I did 6 months. I got out like a week after my birthday, which is in September, and then so I got out September 28th, and then like 2 weeks later, my dad passed away, and he was in Arizona, so I didn't get to really have no closure or nothing with him, and I was on probation at the time, and I hit rock bottom. I overdosed, so and then since I was on probation, they violated me for a dirty drop. I went back to jail again, and then I had to do the remainder of my probation time. I got out, and then that's when I went to Wisconsin for 8 months. And then right back at it once I came back from there. So,
had you had any true connection with your dad over the years before he passed?
Not really, because since he was an alcoholic, and I mean, I feel like he should have been there for me more. But I mean, at the same time, since I was so deep in the streets and just running around, you know, doing what I knew how to do best, I mean, he just he had to look out for my little sister too, which, I mean, and he didn't, you know, I mean, I understand that. So, but at the same time, he was a belligerent alcoholic. So, I mean, he liked to, you know, get physical or whatnot. So I just kind of, you know, we just never really seen eye to eye. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And when that relationship becomes toxic, dangerous for either one of you, it's best to stay away.
Yeah.
And to work with it from a distance until you can come closer.
Yeah, because because the first year my mom went to prison, maybe probably a year and a half. At first, she was staying with my mom's husband at the time. And then finally, him and my mom split up. And then that's when my little sister went with him. And by that time, yeah, it was just, you know, but I mean, I used drugs with my dad and things too. So, I mean, you know, just like with my mom, we were she always made sure I was fed and housed me, you know, had clothes on my back. But at the same time, we had more of a friendship than them being parents to me. So, I mean, I used to sell my parents drugs, get high with my parents, you know. So, I don't blame them for my wrongdoings at all. But it just, I don't know. Because, I mean, my grandma was the one who raised me, really. Because when my mom and dad had me, I mean, they were just, since he was an alcoholic, and he worked on the road, their relationship was real rocky. So, I stayed with my grandma most of the time until I was about 8 or 9, and that's when she passed away, which was back in 2005, and then we moved to Portland, so because I used to live in Red Key when I was just a little guy.
Okay, so this has been intergenerational.
Yeah.
It's been just your growing up experience, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So to you, it almost had to seem normal to be in these kind of behaviors because that's what you saw the most.
Yeah.
And so it's easy just to slide into that kind of lifestyle. Is that correct?
Yeah, product of your environment, basically. I mean, you see everything going on around you. If that's the kind of things going on around you, most likely, that's what you're going to fall into. I mean, because my brother went to prison before my mom, and he was about 19, and so, I mean, I looked up to him at the time, and I never hung out with kids my age. I always hung out with the older crowd, so I was always into mischief stuff, you know what I mean? I was always out partying at such a young age. I mean, at 11, I had it was one of my big traumatizing moments. I shot my cousin. It was on an accident, but it did a lot to me. I did a little bit of juvenile time over it, but, I mean, after that, I just kind of,
Just so you understand, I too am from Red Key. I just live a mile north of town there. And I remember seeing the names at different times and some of those struggles. But I'm glad you're here today and thankful you got 4 months under your belt. I know that's just a start.
Yeah.
But if you don't get 4 months, you can't get 6, you
Right.
can't get 9, you can't get 12. You're on the way. Make sure
Yeah.
you stay on that path.
Yeah.
What is it that made you think you were worthy of recovery? What was that lights on moment like?
Well, to be honest, back in January of this year, the beginning of this year, I caught a dealing case. So, I mean, and my kids had already been taken before that. So once I hit that jail cell and they told me my charges, I was like, I gotta make a change. I gotta do something. Even if I don't want it for me, I gotta want it for my kids. My kids are my girlfriend, are my biggest supporters, honestly. So, I mean, that was
You want
my
it for them
eye-opening.
until you can want it for yourself.
Yeah.
And if that's what it takes to get it started, no shame in that game.
Yep.
You got to stay at it. What was it like being Harley in those early years, in those years of addiction and struggle? Was there homelessness involved?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. I mean, for the most part, I had a girlfriend at that time too. Like, she was I guess you would want to call her my high school sweetheart or whatever. I was with her from the time I was 14 until I was 19. So, I mean, we literally split up when I did my first little bit of county time. After that, we just went our separate ways. So,
Who was the first person to try to get through to you of the direction you were headed, to try to get you to turn around? Who's that role model in your life that was a positive influence?
my girlfriend, Lissy, for sure. She was always trying to get me to, do the right things, but I'm stubborn, hard-headed. I don't want to listen to nobody. I don't like authority, so.
You talked earlier about your dad being belligerent,
Yeah.
so you've inherited
Yeah,
a
a
little of
bit.
that
Yeah,
behavior,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I can say though, alcohol was never my strong point at all. That's what he died from, was cirrhosis to the liver. So, and then once he was in Arizona when he died, is why I didn't get to have no closure with him. So, I mean, he was cremated and all that, and he just, I mean, he was there, but he wasn't. He was always usually drunk or at work. You know what I mean? And even when I was little, I seen him beat my mom up a lot. Black her eyes, break her nose. I mean, all kind. I just, I just kind of frowned upon him sometimes. But I mean, your dad's your dad. You can't change that. So
That's right. That's right. What would you tell him right now if you could have a cup of coffee with him?
that's a hard question.
I'm sure.
I'd just tell him I love him, and I know he would, right at this point in my life, he'd be proud of me. I know that. So, and I wish he was just here to get to enjoy his grandkids. I mean, other than that, I don't know. I miss him. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I just know he's missing out on getting to have these grandkids in his life. So, but
That's a tough thing to deal with. That disappointment, that hurt, and everything that goes with it, the struggle it's caused you, the battles it's created for your life and everything else with it. Who was that person before Lissy, before your girlfriend, that was somebody you knew you could count on, that would give you direction and guidance? Did you have that person, or did you know anybody like that at that time?
In a way, but at the same time, they were trying. I guess I got a brother that's he's not blood, but he's still my family, and uh, he's been my brother since the day I met him, and he was doing, he was doing the same things that I was doing. He was just another person I looked up to a lot, but he always tried to get me to, you know, see the brighter side. Told me just to tell me to try to stay out the way, but seeing them do it, I just thought it was cool. So it was like, if you're doing it, why is it wrong for me to do it? So
It sounds like he was the kind, and my dad was good at this, the kind who believed, do as I say,
not as I do. Yeah,
not as I
I I tell my kids that all the time, literally almost every visit I have with them. For instance, the other day, one of my kids, she was talking about somebody getting in trouble or somebody doing something wrong, and uh, I don't know. She's like, "Oh, well, I'll tell him. And I'm like, "No, you don't just. As long as it's not, hurting their well being, or if it doesn't involve you, just stay out of it, And so, but she's having a little bit of a hard time. I wouldn't say she gets in trouble at school, but I don't think she likes authority either, because she'll laugh at, discipline, basically. If she gets in trouble, she thinks it's funny. She'll roll her eyes, she just, and I'm like, she's like, or she'll hit me with something like, oh, well, that's what you did, or this is what you do. And I'm like, well, you don't do, say as I, like you said, don't do as I do, say as I do.
Yeah. And it's just the idea as well. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was wrong when I did it.
Yeah.
You're going to be wrong when you do it,
absolutely.
regardless if I taught it to you or not. And with that, we oftentimes go to schools and speak as a better life, Brianna's hope.
Yeah.
And one thing we always tell the kids, regardless of their age, with every choice, there's either a consequence or a blessing.
Yeah.
And you've got to play the tape through, as one of our guests said, to see, is this going to be something that will aid you, that will move you forward in the long run, or is it going to hold you back? And you've got to decide where you want to be.
Yeah.
And we come to that point. We all come to that point at different times in our lives, under different circumstances and all. What is it now that Harley is shooting for? I don't mean 9 months of sobriety, being clean, or a year, or a lifetime. What else do you have for goals, Harley?
Well, getting a job was one of my goals, and I just achieved that today. So, and
Where? What?
The new Goodwill in Portland that's opening them up. I just got a job there today. So,
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's big for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never had a real job, so I've always worked under the table or sold drugs. So, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. I'm just ready to get the show on the road. If you know.
It's time to adult,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, that's not always fun, not
Yeah.
always easy, but it's got to do it.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to move forward that way and progress in so many different ways. So
Yeah.
we'll trust in and pray for that it's a good fit to where you get your feet on the ground and you can find who the new Harley's going to look like.
Yeah.
What are you doing right now with your life to stay out of the drug scene, the drug experience?
See, honestly, I try to hit a meeting every day. Every day I try to hit a Brianna's Hope meeting, whether it's Winchester's, Portland's, Red Keys, Dunkirk's. I try to go to them all, Albany's, Burns. That's and just all I got. Like you said, you got to play the tape forward. So I just think about my kids a lot of the time and my girlfriend. Where if I mess up, where's that going to put them at? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not so much myself well-being, but theirs. So, and I know my youngest daughter, she already thought when because I've had an open DCS case for going on about 8 months now. And before I went to jail, she hadn't seen me. So for 6 months straight, she didn't see me, talk to me, nothing. So she felt abandoned. So, I mean, I just kind of, like you said, play the tape forward and make sure, I got to stay on my toes and just stay away from the bad people, places, and things. So that was a big jump for me.
How concerned are you for their maintaining their sobriety and not getting into drugs?
I think that they'll honestly be good because, I mean, they see that, me, they know that I messed up. They know that I got to go to jail here soon too. And like, they just know, I feel like they know that their grandma, their uncle, their aunt, because my mom, my brother, and my sister are all in prison right now. So, I mean, and I'm about to be there too. So I think they know they don't want to be there, and they know people make bad choices sometimes, and they got to pay the consequences for them. So as long as they just look up to me and know that I'm trying to change for them, that's all really that matters to me.
So it sounds to me like you're the link in the chain that's going to break past behaviors, or at least that's your thinking, your goal.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I just hope, I pray, that's one thing I pray to God for, is that my kids don't take any kind of path that I ever chose. I try to right their wrongs all the time, but I mean, especially in today's world, you just don't know anymore. I mean, you can't control everything. So that's a big thing I've been trying to work on too, like trying to not control things that's out of my control, because it's not going to get you anywhere but worrying and stressing out and
that's
wanting to relapse, so it's just like,
whether you're in addiction or not, that's a major lesson, coming to understand what's mine and what's yours.
Yeah.
I can try to influence you, but twisting your arm isn't going to change your heart. I'd rather twist your heart and then let everything else follow. Tough question here, but what role does faith play for you in all of this, Harley?
Faith has been a big role. Like I said, as soon as I hit the jail cell this time, I haven't really ever been a big God person, but he definitely opened my eyes this time. Like everything, as soon as I got into jail and I started talking to my girlfriend, and play after play, just everything just kept falling into line, and I just kept telling her, you just got to keep faith. You know what I mean? You just can't let yourself get down. You know what I mean? When you get discouraged, just keep. You can't get discouraged. You got to keep moving forward. And I got to remind myself that too. But I mean, I just kept, every time I go to bed, I would pray. If I forget to pray before I went to bed, I would pray when I woke up. So, and just day after day, everything just kept falling in line. And it's just, I felt like if I kept my faith, and that's what it brought me to. I wouldn't be sitting here now. So.
Keep growing it. It's what's going to make the difference in the long run, if you're clean for the rest of your life or you're not, quite honestly. It's where your hope lies. It's where your help is. And when I say it, I'm actually speaking of God. That's your biggest chance for success, is through him. Talking with a friend a little bit ago, and we talked about how we refer to God as our higher power.
Yeah.
And I think that's because we don't know who he is yet.
Absolutely.
We just know there's a force there
Yeah.
that's helping us, that's making a change. Then we come to realize that force, that change, is God in us through Jesus Christ and his Spirit. And then we can call him by name instead of a higher power. I have no problem with the word higher power, but the truth of the matter is, have a friend who says higher power can mean a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And we know it's more than that, and that's what it's going to take to get us through this. So, what makes you think you can stay above all this? What makes you think you can get 6 months of
Well,
sobriety?
I mean, for one, I have to take a drug test every week to be able to see my kids. So that's one step. That kind of keeps me on my toes.
Is that
And
a
then,
good thing for
yeah,
you?
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I could do it without it, but it doesn't matter what
It
I
holds
do.
you accountable,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't matter, like I said, it don't matter what I do or anything like that. I just always replay my kids in my head. Like you gotta play that tape forward, and that's the first thing that comes to my mind besides my girlfriend. It's just trying to be a better person for them. Because if I'm not, who's gonna? I mean, I don't want my kids to have a bad background like I have. I don't want them to, go through anything that I've went through, and I've already put them through enough the way it is as of right now. So anything I can do to make their life better is what helps me stay clean.
Amen. Stay at it. One of my biggest fears, I only have 2 kids, are obviously at my age. They're both grown now, out on their own. I still don't want to disappoint them. I still don't want to let them down through my behaviors or my actions, create things that give them a bad name. The scriptures say that your name is more important than gold and silver. What people think when they hear the name and it's your name or it's my name or it's somebody else's, we immediately create opinions and ideas and ideals in people's mind. And I want mine to be the kind of name that brings a smile to faces instead of
absolutely.
a head shake.
Yeah.
I know about him, or I know about her.
And I know there's a lot of that, so it's like
you can
know,
overcome it, though, right?
That's what I'm trying to do. So
that's God's guarantee is your future. He's not going to hold your past against you. We're all broken people. He's not going to use it against you. He sees your potential and your possibilities before he sees your problems. And he knows where you've been, what you've done, what you've been about, but he also knows where you can get and who you can become. My desire in life for myself and for others is that they become all that God created them to be. So we work on that, try to make it happen, and give it our best shot. So what is it, Harley, that you want folks to know about you right now? Just speak your heart to them here, however that comes out.
Like I said, it's really not about who I was, but who I'm trying to be. I just don't, like I said, I want people not to shake their head and think, oh, he's a bad guy, he sold drugs, he did drugs, because everybody can change, and that's what I'm trying to be, a living proof of change, honestly, so I just want people to, like you said, smile and, say good things about me instead of, oh, he's a bad guy because he's got felonies, or he's a bad guy because he lost his kids at one point in time. But I'm going to have, I'm going to get my kids back real soon, and, I'm going to just put my bad past behind me, and that's because that's where it belongs. I'm not trying to tread on my past anymore. So.
You're trying to climb that mountain.
Absolutely.
And when you do, there are times you slip and slide and you go back down part the way. The key is not to hit the bottom, but to keep climbing to the top. I don't know if you'll ever make it there. I hope not, actually, but I hope you keep striving to get there. It's not a matter of getting to the top and looking down. It's a matter of always looking up to that top, climbing a little higher, going a little farther, becoming a little better, changing a whole lot more, and then influencing your family to do the same. 4 months clean, you said here at the start, and there are probably people already shaking their heads going, I never thought I'd see it.
Oh, yeah. That's all the time. My girlfriend thinks that, too, a lot. I know that. So it's like a lot of people do. I know it because they see me, and a lot of people know my past. So they're like, oh, he ain't. They probably don't even believe I'm 4 months clean. A lot of people probably think I'm lying, but all you got to do is look at me, and you can tell. So, I mean, if you see me in my past, you see me strung out, this is the brighter me. I mean, that's just, if they don't believe it, that's on them. So
Exactly. And I think you should have a certain amount of pride Nat.
I'm trying to, yeah, that's one thing I'm trying to do is still love myself, try to give myself a pat on the back for accomplishing things, but I feel like I owe it, so I don't feel like I deserve that pat on the back a lot of times,
Well, you're not done, okay? And, you said your girlfriend feels that way at times, but I'm sure it's more of a, wow, look at you. I can't believe you'd be here.
Yeah,
It's more of
absolutely.
a supportive thing
Yeah.
where there are those doubters and scoffers going, tomorrow's the day he'll fall.
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, there are some who almost want that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can guarantee that.
They don't want to see you out of recovery. They don't want to see you being successful because that kind of, if you don't mind this way of my saying it, it's like putting a hand in somebody's face and saying, hey, you can do this too.
Yeah.
And it becomes a challenge that many aren't ready to face.
Yeah.
And so we just keep climbing step at a time, and when we slide down, we dust ourselves off and start climbing back up again. That's not full and total relapse. We all have relapses of behavior, relapses of activity. It comes in so many ways, but we can make that happen. Harley, the name of our podcast is Faith in Your Recovery. What do those words mean to you? Faith in your recovery.
That's a hard question too. Like I said, you just gotta keep faith. So I feel like as long as I keep faith in myself and faith that I won't want to get. Don't get me wrong. I get the urge to. I feel like I want to get high sometimes, but I'm like, I just gotta keep faith that I won't do it, and faith that other people are looking up to me, but I, like you said, at the same time, I'm sure there's people, I can guarantee you there's people out there that are bound to see me fall, because, most of the time, by now, I'd have done fell back, faith is just, I don't know.
Back to the alcohol you were talking of earlier, there's the old, one day at a time, and if you can't make it one day at a time, chop it up in pieces and make it 6 hours, make it 2 hours, make it 1 minute if you have to. And it's that way with faith in your recovery. If you can get through one dark moment of temptation or struggle, you can get through the second one. Faith is the idea of a certainty based on past experiences, whereas hope is I hope I can do it, which expresses a tincture of doubt in there. It's as if you've never tried it before, but faith comes out of that experience of having been there, like our faith in God.
Yeah.
We can trust him. He didn't fail us yesterday. He'll not fail us today, nor will he fail us tomorrow. So we know we can put all we have in him, and that will see us through. What kind of advice would you give to a parent who is raising a Harley kind of child you were several years ago? I don't mean the Harley of today.
Well, I can tell you this. They frown upon it nowadays, but I would probably I'd tell them to smack them around, but you can't do that nowadays. But,
there are ways to punish.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, you gotta punish the right way, I guess. I don't know, really, honestly. Because everybody parents different,
Sure.
So, and kids are gonna rebel.
Would anything have worked for you at that time? If they'd have, there'd have been a...
Honestly, like I said, you're a product of your environment. So honestly, at that time, probably not. Maybe locking me up, but my parents weren't going to do that, so, but.
And you could have built up bitterness during that
absolutely.
time. And then espresso, when you got out, just exploded on the world.
Yeah, but I would just, I don't. That's probably the hardest question you've asked me so far. I don't know what I would do if I had a child that acted like me back then. Honestly, I can't say. I honestly can't.
That's all right. That's okay. And as you grow in your recovery, I'm going to guess that you will find the answer to that. We have a program in the jail, MRT.
Yep. I'm actually involved in that program. I started it when I was in jail for the 45 days before I bonded out. Yeah, I was about halfway done for it, but yeah, I know she's about to start it April 8th back up out here, so I'm excited to be able to get back in that and finish it.
Yeah, Candy Sapp from our office leads that. She's qualified and certified to do it. It's actually moral recognition therapy, and it deals with those blanks, those time in your life that you didn't truly understand, helps you go back, dig into who you were and how that's created who you are today.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty deep thing, but it's been extremely successful, and we're proud of that as an organization. So we're going to keep at that and hope that it'll continue to make that difference. Harley, before we close here, is there anything that you want to express or share that we haven't touched on?
No, just thanks for having me. I'm glad to be able to share a little bit of my story with people. Hopefully help somebody out there that's in recovery or, trying to be in recovery. Street life ain't no life to live. It's just not. It's done nothing but bad things for me, and that's what it's going to do for anybody else. Either going to end up in a casket or in a jail cell.
I was going to ask you earlier if you experienced anything positive from your drug time. You just gave us the answer to that, okay?
Yeah.
You know, the way you expressed how there's nothing that comes out of it that's going to benefit you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your honesty, Harley, your transparency, sharing with us. And hey, thanks for attending.
Thank
Better
you.
Life
Thank you for having
Brianna's Hope. And I continue each Thursday to lead the group. They're in the jail. If you're back in there, join us some Thursday. We'll look forward to it. So, folks, just hang in there, hang on, and understand we've got another episode to follow immediately after this. We'll just need a moment or two. We'll keep everything running, so just stay with us. Go ahead, subscribe to A Better Life, Brianna's Hope. You'll help us in so many ways. We're glad you've been with us. God bless. Stay in the battle. Amen.
Jesus didn't have a problem with people that's in the streets. He had a problem with religious people.
How can I help anybody when I was not even able to help my own son?
I would never do that. And I became that in a matter of minutes when they took my pain pills away.
And I said, I'm not where I want to be. But thank God I'm not what I used to be.
This is Faith in Your Recovery. I am Randy Davis. Welcome to the battle. We're glad you're back with us, or you just tuned in. This is episode 2 of Faith in Your Recovery. Thanks for coming alongside us. We hope you'll get something from this that makes a difference for you. And we hope that you'll like and subscribe to our program. That'd show a lot of support and mean more to us than you can understand, especially with the analytics and just knowing you're on board as another supporter. So we appreciate that. Our guest today is Nate Cox. Welcome, Nate.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, we look forward to hearing what you've got to share. Nate, introduce us to who you are, what you're about at this point in life, and then we'll break into some other things.
My name's Nate Cox. Born and raised in Jay County. I kind of lived all over the place: Red Key, Dunkirk, Pennville, Portland. I got 2 kids.
How old are they?
Oh, God, you had to ask me that. 12 and 10.
Okay.
I might have been wrong.
That's close. We're good.
12 and 10. They go to Red Key Elementary, so that's where I went to school at too. So
All right. Do you live in the Red Key area now?
Right now I'm staying in Fairview, but I just spent the last
That's
3.
not far away
No.
for you folks who don't know. I used to pastor the church here in Fairview years back, so I know exactly where that is and understand that well. So when was it, Nate, that you started your personal struggle with drugs, with addiction?
At an early age, 3rd grade, actually, when I was in,
So you were what, about 8 years old?
that was the first time I could remember getting high. And it was actually me sneaking drugs from my parents and going and doing them by myself in the closet. So, yeah, that was the first time, and it was mainly because it's just it's what everybody, I was the youngest in my household, and I come from a rather large family, so it was just kind of what I seen everybody doing, so I just kind of wanted to be part of the crowd.
Accepted behavior there in your house, yes. Okay. What had this been a generational problem? Obviously with your parents, but do you know if it goes back farther than that?
My grandparents on my mom's side, they weren't addicts, but on my dad's side, he was an addict till the day he died. But my grandmother, I know she had an uncle that was an alcoholic and stuff like that. So it's been pretty generational for as far back as I can tell. So
What was the drug that you took into the closet that first time?
just weed. It was just weed that time. So
Just weed. Okay. Okay. When did that graduate to something harder?
very, very shortly after that, I can remember I always hung out with my older brother because anywhere he went, he had to take me pretty much. My mom didn't let me leave on my own. So I can remember being at his friend's house and he left and they had gotten me high. I can't remember. I don't know what it was, but I just remember being scared and going home. And I had left without my brother coming back. So he actually had gotten in trouble for leaving me there. But my mom looked at me and I was like, I just don't feel good. I just want to lay down. So I went and laid down. So that was the summer after my 3rd grade year. So
What did your drug of choice become after the weed?
it started with pain pills. After the pain pills, it became methamphetamine.
I'm going to guess those pain pills once again came out of your parents' medical cabinet, okay?
Actually, no. I was pretty
Okay.
good at getting the doctor to prescribe me what I wanted back then. Even as a minor, I struggled with some back problems and stuff like that, and they were always easy to find on the streets back then. So, at a very young age, I started buying them off the streets or just lying to the doctors to get them.
There are those young people or younger people today that may not recognize or know how easy it once was to secure those drugs.
Yeah.
You could almost doctor shop, go to Dr. A and get pills, Dr. B and get pills, etc. And that continued until they got all these ways of tracking drug sales and different things. All the laws changed. But the worst part of that, and even with everything that is good, there's oftentimes a piece that isn't as good. It caused individuals to turn to the street. And so there's always a source somewhere. That's not an invitation to go hunting, but we all need to recognize drugs exist, even in those places where you wouldn't imagine that being so. It sounds, and as I read in your brief bio, that with the meth came a personal apathy, a personal feeling of not caring that got you expelled from school, got you kicked out more than once, and then finally expelled. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I always kind of like really liked school. I was that kid that wanted to do good. I wanted to go to college. You know what I'm saying? And just shortly after using, it just got to the point where I didn't feel like I fit in being that kid. So causing problems, being the class clown, just doing stupid stuff, being caught with cigarettes in middle school. I There's a couple times I was caught with weed, but the principal, thankfully, the principal was a pretty good guy, and he didn't ever tell my parents. He just always took it, and stuff like that. Being caught with pain pills in middle school, and at 1 year I was suspended 7 times just for being a class clown or being caught with contraband stuff that I wasn't supposed to have.
Behaviors unbecoming a junior high student.
Yeah. So I lost scholarship because of it. So just a lot of things where I thought I was trying to fit in. I was trying to be part of my friend group, and really I was just on this fast track of earning everything I wanted in life. So
you made a comment in your bio, once again, something about many of your peers were using in the 6th grade.
Yeah. So in Dunkirk and Red Key, I mean, if you know there, it's just a small town. A lot of my peers, their parents were also drug addicts. But that's what we did for fun. There wasn't much to do, so everybody hung out with everybody. The older kids hung out with the younger kids, older kids, and we all would sit around and either drink, do pills, or smoke weed, and that's what we did for fun. I mean, I can remember going to baseball games and being drunk off my ass and stuff like that. So that was just part of what our group of people did. That was what you did to fit in. It's what you did on the weekends. It's what you did after school, before school. So
I'd like to refute everything you just said, but I can't. We had 2 sons grow up in Red Key, and there was a time when the availability and the 4-way stop corner, you knew what was going on with all the kids that were gathered there, and behaviors and issues within our community. I believe it's improved. It's come a long ways. Part of that has been through our recovery groups and other efforts and the churches and everybody involved. So we're thankful to say we're at a much better place than where we were, but not yet where we want to be. We're not giving up on this battle. The kids matter too much.
yes, they do.
And I have always been convinced, and I guess this is almost political, but it's not party political, that the idea of our swing shifts that were at a couple of our factories made it to where no one knew who was taking care of the kids or if anyone was. So they're down there to that 4-way stop. They're there at the corner. But now it's not the same. That has changed. And I think that's led to improvement, or at least been a part of it.
Absolutely.
What was it, Nate, that made you want to move beyond that life? Let me ask another question first. How many years did you spend in addiction?
Probably over 20.
Okay, so
And in one form or another of addiction. So
how old are you?
I'll be 34 this year.
So that's well over half your life's
Yeah.
been spent in addiction.
Yeah.
What about clean time for you?
I hate to say this, but the longest clean time I've had was when I was in prison or in jail. There's been long periods of time where maybe I only used, once or twice a month, or, only partied on the weekend, but never did I ever stay clean off drugs for any extended period of time unless they just weren't available. So,
Okay, what's your plans to get to that point?
I'm just right now. So this time, when I relapsed, I had lost a lot of people close to me in a short amount of time. But I've spent the last 4 years of my life trying to do whatever I can to learn what I need to do personally with myself and my mind and my own body, what I need to do to fix me in order to get my addiction under control. Because for me, it stemmed from a lot more than just the drugs. It was me. Drugs gave me false self-confidence. They gave me false energy. They done things for me that
They lied to you.
yeah, absolutely. So they was helping me cover up things that I needed to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just try to cover up with drugs. So I've been to a couple rehabs and I've been to jail, and I've learned with every single time I've done something like that, I've learned something new, and it's helped me build my recovery a little bit stronger each time. So with this one, For me, this time it was faith, really. I've always kind of been religious. I always kind of strayed away from it because of the way I was doing. You know, how are you going to say you're a Christian if you're out there selling drugs and doing the things that I was doing? And so this time when I went into jail, I was just thinking about how like I really messed up this time. It hurt a lot more than just me getting in trouble this time, my kids. And I realized that like when I get out this time that my kids are going to be pretty much grown. You know what I'm saying? So one of the people from Gideon's or whatever that come in do the church, he sat and prayed with me, and we prayed for a good 5-10 minutes about just, you know, taking that desire to use away from me. And then I went back to my cell and I prayed again all evening and all night. And I woke up the next day, and in jail you really don't have the want to use because, you know, it's not there. But I could just tell difference. You know what I'm saying? I could tell that there was something that changed in me, that I wasn't thinking about how am I going to be able to get high when I get out? Am I going to be able to get high before I go to prison? Am I going to be able to figure out a way to get out so I can get high again before I end up having to go to prison? It was, now I just need to figure out what I'm going to do so my kids, my wife, my family are going to be okay while I'm in prison. You know, it wasn't about me anymore. So,
Nate, what do you think you're looking at as far as the possibilities of time in DOC and jail?
Well, I just signed a plea for a open level 4, keeping it open to the judge. They wouldn't agree to a cap of 6, so I'm assuming more than 6 years. But the way I look at it is, you know, I did this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did this to myself. God has his plan for me, so wherever it's at, whether it's on the streets, whether it's in jail, whether it's in prison. He's given me the tools, and he's given me the ability to make use of what I learned, you know what I'm saying? So there might be somebody in there that needs my help, you know what I'm saying? It might be 6 years, but maybe I'll go to a prison and I can get a diploma or something. You know,
It
make
doesn't
use of
mean
it.
it's wasted.
Right. I can make the best out of every situation, and he has his plan for me, whether it be out here or in there. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do something with what he's given me either way.
So I think I've heard you say, by reading between the lines, you do not have a high school diploma.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
I'm sorry then. Go ahead with that.
Yeah, I do have a diploma. I actually got it in prison the first time I went to prison. So,
Hooray.
And I've done some college. I've never completed a whole year or nothing, but I was going to college for behavior and addictions. So I'm gonna try, when I get out, I want to try to finish that, and, you know, help in the addiction community, because a lot of what has helped me is other addicts. You know what I'm saying? Who's been where I've been, and because a lot of us want to be like, oh, you don't know what I've gone through, but we know what we've gone through. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to be able to sit and talk with somebody that's not going to judge you, that you can tell them all your dirty little things that you're ashamed of, and then be like, listen, bro, I did that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it can get better. You know what I'm saying? Like, so.
The opening for peer recovery coaches today, and I think it'll only get greater, is phenomenal. Right. You've got that possibility. There's a lot of other directions you can go. Right. But the important thing is that you use your past to influence your own future as well as the future of others. Right. How many out there have been on the journey that you've been on? You know, they've suffered similarly from home conditions and had it available and, you know, made the choice to do it, but now they're making the choice to move away from it. Right. And to make a difference and to use what you've had to have that pride. No, it wasn't good what it was, but I can make the best of it just the same.
Absolutely.
And the only person who can stop you from doing that, sitting across from me today, okay?
Right. Yourself.
So stay at that and build from it. What is the biggest change you want to see in Nate?
I want to get back to the Nate I knew I was before I let drugs take over, because even in active addiction, I've always been a helper. I've always been a lover, but I've always took it too far to where I was hurting myself, and I was more enabling people than I was helping them. I want to get to the point where I can, like, I can still hold my ground, still, you know what I'm saying, stand firm.
Limits.
Limits. Still firm with my beliefs, you know, with my religion and all that stuff, and not give into that because, you know, what other people think. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to go out there and be who I truly am and do what I truly believe in without fear of what other people think. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm working on now. So.
What would you consider to be the lights on moment in your life that said, boom, this has got to change. I've got to turn a new direction. I've got to become the me I was created to be. Where was that for you, Nate, and how did that come about?
For me, it was when they kicked in my door and I was sitting in my living room and I was looking at some of the people that I love the most, knowing that they were about to lose years of their life because of what I was letting go on in my house. You know, I always try to make my house a safe spot for people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always wanted people to feel safe there. I've always wanted them to feel loved. You know what I'm saying? And at that point in time, you know, I just watched all their lives go down the drain. Like, granted, they chose to do what they were doing and they knew what we were going on there. But, you know, knowing that that was my house and that was my home, that was my safe spot, that I just let people that I care about get caught up in, you know what I'm saying? That was my turning point. Like, I can't be the guy that's going to help people destroy their lives anymore. You know what I'm saying? So
you can destroy your own, but you don't want the responsibility of destroying somebody else's.
Exactly.
Yeah. What is it you're doing now to remain as clean for as long as you can?
So, like I said, after that prayer, my biggest fear on getting out of jail was the fear of wanting to use. And I can honestly say at this moment that God has taken that away from me. I have been out.
That's an incredible thing. Please understand that.
Yeah, and I've been out for a couple months now, and I still have the fear. My fear, though, is that I'm going to wake up and want to use. I've not had the urge to use or the want to use. And I'm around family who's in active addiction sometimes, and I'm still in Jay County, so I still see it around me, and I've not had that want, that urge, or that anything. So, with that being said, I try to go to meetings almost every day if I can, and I try to share my story. I try to give advice. I try to listen to other people's stories because you can learn something from everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to build my faith. I actually currently went on the walk to Emmaus for the first time.
Awesome.
So that was really awesome. So I'm trying to meet more people that I can, not be, because I'm not embarrassed of my faith, but not have to worry about whether, you know what I'm saying,
how it's going to be received.
Yeah, if I'm overstepping, because a lot of people, there's some people that don't want to hear it, you know what I'm saying? So it's good to find your people, just like when you're in active addiction, you go around addicts, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to surround myself who want to live a Christian life and who want to talk about faith, and, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm trying to do.
Your walk to Emmaus, was Lee Funkhauser involved?
Yes, he was. Yes,
Lee's a dear friend.
He made me cry.
How? Telling his story?
Telling his story, and then, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but then at the end of the walk, they all write you, like people from home write you letters and tell you about how they care. And I know Lee from before the walk and, Joe and stuff, and he actually wrote me a card that was in the envelope that I didn't expect at all, and just told me to keep doing what I'm doing, to keep sharing that I'm very helpful at the meetings with the things that I say and stuff like that. And it touched my heart because, like, it was somebody, that I knew in active addiction that was telling me, hey, you sharing and you telling your story and you speaking at meetings is helping other people, so keep doing what you're doing. So that was just verification that, I'm not out here just talking to air, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly, I get it. Folks, I don't know how many episodes you've tuned in for, how many you've listened to, but the name Lee Funkhauser has come up as often as anybody, most probably. His story is one beyond belief. Narcan, he had OD'd 9 or 10 different times, requiring Narcan to save him. His past, the struggles he had, the struggles he created, the issues that he had with others, losses of family members through overdose, and him being the one to find them. You can find a part of his story on our website at ablbh.org. There is a video there about our beginning. Lee's been part of our organization now for 10 plus years. That's the number of years we've been in existence. He was there day one, and he continues to be. He's become a leader. He works at Avenues Recovery Center in Fort Wayne. I don't want to toot his horn too much, but it deserves to be tooted.
It does. He's an amazing person.
Yeah, tune in and hear. He's been there, done that. He's got the scars to prove it. And he's at a good place. We're thankful for that and appreciate Lee a bunch. He's a special young man that we love, and we're glad he's a part of our organization. There are others just as much so, but Lee's the name that was just brought up, and that's why I wanted to share it with him. I've watched his growth, seen him, and it's been an awesome experience. What do you want folks to know about raising someone who's been where you've been, Nate, who's struggled with the battles like you have? What kind of advice can you give that mom or dad or grandparent?
Just be there for them. You know what I'm saying? Don't condemn them. It's hard not to get mad at them, but don't find out why they're acting out. You know what I'm saying? Because it stems from something other than just, I want to use drugs. You know what I'm saying? Or I want to be bad. There's some type of, for me, it was I wanted to feel included or loved. So, you know what I'm saying? I had a big family, in my big family, I still felt like I was alone all the time. You know what I'm saying? So acting out and getting in trouble, that was moments of attention that was on me. You know what I'm saying? And so find out there's always something else. You know, sit down and talk to him and listen to him. You know what I'm saying? Because I can remember trying to talk to my mom being like, you'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Just, they're kids. They're going through a lot of things that they don't understand. They don't understand their emotions. They don't know why they're feeling that way. And sometimes they just need to be heard. You know what I'm saying? And so.
Just listen to them. That sounds so simple, but it's a lot more challenging than that, but certainly a major part. Hear what they've got to say. Don't tell them they're wrong. Keep your mouth shut. I want to remind you, we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Maybe we ought to be listening 2 times more than we're talking. And you have nothing to lose. And that's how you open the communication. If I open my mouth and you suddenly, that's not so. Well, if I believe it is, that's what matters in that moment. So be there with them. And as Nate just said, listen to them. Nate, what's your plans for the future? What do you want to be someday?
I would like to finish my education, and it'd be awesome to just work in the community, my community. I've always went away to try to do my recovery or volunteer or any type of peer recovery work. So I think I'm just going to try to get my education and work in my community. That way I can see the growth of the people that I love and the people I've seen grow up and the people that I know, so that to me is more rewarding. I try to base my life on helping others. It's just what makes me happy. You know what I'm saying? I like to put a smile on people's faces. So I want to finish my education and just keep doing what I'm doing, which is telling my story and helping others out where I can, volunteering, just try to get this keep growing with what's growing. Because right now, the type of programs and the stuff they have now is so much better than it was when I was younger. We didn't have none of the recovery programs or none of the resources that we have now. So I'd just like to be part of that resource, so.
I have seen so many changes in the last 10 years in the recovery movement.
It's amazing. As
a whole, the different options. Used to, you had maybe Al-Anon, maybe Celebrate Recovery, not in every community, Alcoholics Anonymous. Beyond that, there wasn't a lot that was active or at least effective. But now there are multiple organizations, and you can no longer use the excuse, there's no help being offered out there. I can give you a list a mile long. We have resources listed on our ablbh.org website. We can help connect you with resources. If you want recovery, it's there and it can be found. What has been the biggest struggle for you, Nate, in order to maintain your sobriety, your clean time, etc.?
So before it was just this last time I was getting clean, like I said, I'd lost a couple people and I wasn't dealing with grief the right way. For me this time, it's just been trying to get back on my feet, because when I got in trouble this time, I pretty much lost everything I had as far as place to live, stuff like that. So just getting out and going from having a house for 3 years and everything I needed to literally sleeping on my mom's laundry room floor again, like at 33 years old. So that was a struggle. Knowing that I could make quick money, but that money, it comes quick, but it goes quick too. And drugs just don't bring in money, and they don't give you a 6-year sentence. They can give you a life sentence. And I'm just not trying to lose everything I have ever again. I'm not trying to lose my life, and I'm not trying to have my kids lose their dad. You know what I'm saying? I've already lost many years of me with them because of my drug problem. So it's time for them to be able to see who their real dad is. You know what I'm saying? And be able to be proud of him, just like I need to be proud of myself. So,
dude, keep that picture in mind. You could almost paint that. If I was an artist, I'd try. Okay, I don't have that skill.
Me either.
But you can draw that vision and see it and keep it ever before you. And know that the faith you talked about earlier will help you reach that point to maintain the integrity of yourself and everything that goes with it. Nate, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us here today on Faith in Your Recovery and being a part of this effort to make a difference, to touch change and save lives. And I believe that folks can take some nuggets from this and they can make a difference. And I hope, if nothing else, it just reiterates to them the importance of staying on the right path, staying on the trail to recovery. So God bless you, each one of our listeners. You, Nate, as our guest. And folks, stay in the battle. Hang in there. God bless. Amen.